again, my little yarnivores and spiderettes. Fiber Spider back again with another tutorial just for you. Hope you're all doing well today, because I've got a treat for you. This is the Granny Spike Stitch Shawl. Very easy, very quick, and I absolutely love the results. Now, for those of you that have been following me for any length of time, know how much I love the Granny Stitch. Now, I have seen a lot of comments about you like the Granny Stitch, but you don't like how it's really lacy. Well, this is a perfect alternative because it's just as easy as the Granny Stitch, has a really cool visual effect, and it is a solid piece of fabric, so it's nice and toasty on these winter days. So, with this particular project, I used Karen Blossom Cakes. I had never used this yarn before, and I thought I would give it a try. By the way, this video is not sponsored, but I always like to let you know what it is that I use in case if you want to duplicate the results. So I used about 2 skeins on this particular shawl. It's a very robust shawl. It has some nice weight to it. The specs on this yarn, it's about 481 yards, and it is 61% cotton and 39% acrylic, and the colorway is Island Time. It's also a weight of 4. So I used, for this piece, I used a size 6mm, size J crochet hook, and what I found interesting about this yarn, I have just a tiny little bit left over. I managed to get one last row. Going to show you really quick. Now, I don't typically use this kind of yarn. Now, upon first look, it looks sort of like a what is the word that I'm looking for? Like a single ply. However, it's actually one of those woven sort of into a tube deals. Let's see, there we go. Get some good focus there. Whoa, almost. There we go. So actually, it's not like a single ply of roving. It is much, much stronger than that. And I was quite delighted because I never had the issue of getting my hook caught in the plies. I mean, this was very nice to work with. It is so soft. Oh my gosh, it is really soft, and I really, really liked working with this. For me, personally, the only sort of drawback to this was, yeah, $12.99 a skein, and I needed 2 of them for this shawl. So, yeah, it's not the cheapest stuff in the world, but I really liked working with it. At any rate, I digress. So I just wanted to give you the specs on that yarn because I'd never used it before. Now for today's piece, I'm going to be using one of the old tried and trues that I love so much. This is Lion Brand's Ice Cream Big Scoops. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this is in the colorway of Parfait. It's been forever since I've used this. And going to be using a 5mm size H crochet hook for today's example. So, without further ado, let's get started. Row 1. All right, so for those of you that are familiar with the traditional Granny Stitch shawl, I think you guys are going to find this rather familiar and like it. I'm going to start off with a slip knot. Now, there are some slight changes involved between what we're going to be doing and the traditional Granny Stitch shawl. And that has to do a lot with the spacing initially. So I'm going to start off by chaining up 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, now we're going to be working into this first chain down here. You could, however, chain 4, do a slip stitch to that first chain to create a ring and then work within the ring. This I personally find works a little bit better for this particular project. So after chaining 5 into that first chain, 3 double crochets. So essentially, we have here a double crochet and a chain 1 space, and then a double crochet, and then 2 more for our first cluster. And do not worry about this particular chain, getting really big and, twisty. We can cinch that up later, not to worry. So from here, chain 2. Traditionally, with the top corners, it's a chaining of 3. This one, we want fewer chain spaces, so only chain 2. And then into that same chain, 3 more doubles. It's raining outside. It sounds like it's going to start pouring. I love the sound of the rain, but only when I don't have to go out in it. Okay, so we have our double, chain 1, 3 doubles, chain 2, 3 doubles. Now to finish this off, chain 1 and 1 more double into that same space. And then we can cinch our tail and sew in the end. Alrighty, so that is row 1. Row 2. Okay, so going to start by chaining up 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Turn the work, and into the chain 1 space, 3 doubles. That's 1, 2, and 3. Now, for a traditional granny, I would always chain 1 before doing my next cluster. For this particular project, you don't want to have that chain 1 space. And for me, it seemed very counterintuitive, but it will make sense later, trust me. So from here, after doing your 3 doubles, go directly into that next chain space with 3 doubles. By omitting the chain space, by omitting the chain space in between your clusters, you're really going to ensure that your piece has a nice solid look to it. So I'm going to try this again. 3 doubles into that corner spine. There we go. So we've got our 3 doubles. Chain 2. And then into the same space, 3 more doubles. There we go. And then scooting right along to the next chain space, that last one, with 3 doubles, chain 1, 1 double. And it is the next row where the patterning really starts to happen. These first 2 rows, it's just sort of a preliminary bunch to get us started on our way. So I've got the 3 doubles, chain 1, and 1 more double. There we go. So that is the end of row 2. Cinch you. There we go. All right, so row 3 is the repeat row for pretty much the entire rest of your project, as long as you want your project to keep growing. So going to chain up 4 just as we have been. Turn the work. And into that chain space, 3 doubles. There we are. Again, without doing any chaining. This is where the spike comes in into this space. I'm going to call it a space, even though there's no chain in between. Into the space, go in with a double, and then into the center double crochet down below, going to do a double crochet. You could do a treble crochet, which is yarning over twice and then going in, pulling up two, and then, finishing it up. However, I find that actually if you do a sort of loose double crochet, it works out just fine and you won't get confused as to which stitch you're supposed to be doing. So we're going to go in a little bit loose. So after yarning over, going down and into that middle stitch, grabbing the yarn and pull up that yarn. Pull through two, pull through two. So you have sort of an extended double crochet stitch. And then going back in to that space right in here with your third double crochet. So it connects down below that middle stitch. Okay, from here, going into the center spine with 3 doubles. Chain 2 and 3 doubles. Okay, going to do another spike. So double crochet in between the clusters. And then down into the center of the cluster below. Go in and pull up that loop, give it some height, pull through 2, pull through 2, and then do your third double into that space. This may seem a little bit awkward at first, but you will get used to it with practice and repetition. Okay, then to finish up, into this last space, 3 doubles, chain 1, 1 double. Okay, so I've got my 3 doubles, chain 1, and 1 more double. There we go. Okay, so for the sake of being thorough, yes, I'm going to do row 3 a couple more times. I like to be thorough and I like spending time with you guys. So start by chaining up 4 and turn your work into that first space, 3 doubles. And then into the space in between our clusters, double, then a long double down below. Draw that loop up. There we go. And then another double right next to it into that space. And also, as far as working on your tension, that too will come with practice. So going into that next space with a double, and then a long double down below to that middle stitch. Pull up that loop, give it some height and some room to breathe, and then another double right next to it into that same space. And then into the corner, 3 doubles, chain 2, 3 doubles. Now, granted, you could very easily do your entire piece with a single colorway. Nothing wrong with that. Personally, I find that using a yarn with an interesting colorway makes all the difference. Now, you could, of course, also use this project as a great stash buster and use up your yarn in very creative and elaborate ways, which I will explain as well. So going from here into the next space with a double, a long double down below, and another double, you can really change the look of your piece with some strategic color placement. And what I mean by that is right now, I mean, the yarn is doing the work for us, and I think it's really quite pretty. However, if you wanted to, you could use just 2 colors of yarn, okay? And it would invariably mean sewing in a lot of ends, I grant that. However, what you could do is say, color A, color B, color A, color B, color A, color B, etc. And then you would end up with sort of a checkerboard kind of appearance to your work. Or you could do 2 rows with A, 2 rows with B, 2 rows with A, 2 rows with B, and then it would have sort of the appearance of a zigzag appearance. You know, that is another alternative. I would say play around with different color combinations, and I think the only thing that would prohibit you perhaps would be, yes, the number of ends that you would need to sew in later. If that is not an issue for you, go crazy with your different colors by all means. And then we've reached the end, so it's 3 doubles, chain 1, 1 double. The only thing that I would suggest very strongly is that if you are going to be using your stash, that make sure that all of your yarn is the same weight and most definitely the same material. If you're using acrylic, go with all acrylic. If you're using wool, stick with wool, because when washing this, you want this to maintain the same shrinkage when you're cleaning it, because that will happen. So, you know what, let's do another row together because I'm just having too much fun, and then I will show you how to finish this piece so it has a really nice clean edge. So let's do this. Let's just keep going. Chain up 4. Turn your work. And into that space, 3 doubles. Me, personally, I like using a sort of a quick changing variegated yarn for this project. I think it looks just really, really nice and blended. If you have a very slow color changing ombre, I think it might be a little bit too subtle, but that's just my personal opinion on that one. So into that space, do your double, and then a long double down below. Pull up that loop, pull through 2, pull through 2, and then a regular double in that space. And then a regular double, and then a long double down below, and then a regular double into that same space. Next space, regular double, a long double down below, and then a regular double next to it, and then into the center spine, 3 doubles, chain 2, 3 doubles. There we go. Chain 2, 3 more doubles. There we are. Next space, regular double, long double down below, regular double right next to it, next space, double, long double down below, and a regular double right next to it. Pull out just a smidge more yarn. Next space, double. Double down below. Pull that loop up. And double next to it. And then last but not least, into that last space, 3 doubles, chain 1, 1 double. There we go. And there you have it. All right, so now I would like to show you a really nice and very, very simple way of finishing up your edge if you're so inclined. And I think it really, it polishes it off, I think, just a little bit. All right, so I'm going to show you that too. Okay, so when you are ready to finish your project, you could leave it like this. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. However, if you want it to have a bit of a solid edge, because, well, the rest of it is pretty much solid, what I found worked out rather nicely is doing this. Start by chaining up 1 and turning the work. And then into this first stitch, single crochet. And then single crochet into that chain space. Single into the next 3 doubles. And then we're going to do a single crochet down below into that center stitch. And again, you want to go just a wee bit loose. And there you go. Brings it all together. So you just keep on keeping on by doing a single in the next 3 doubles. Single down below. Pull up that loop just a little bit. And then single into the next 3 doubles, and so on and so forth until you reach the center spine. So single down below. And then single into each of the next 3 doubles. And then single down below. And then single in the next 3. Almost had it. There we go. And then into the center spine chain space, 3 singles. And then continue on down this side in exactly the same fashion. It's very simple, and I think it just gives the piece just a wee bit more polish than if you left it as is. Just personal opinion. Take it for what it's worth. There we go. Just a couple more. Oop. Come on now, behave. Down below, pull up that loop. Now you could, of course, experiment with other stitches and other ways of edgings and so forth. I like to go with simplicity. Sometimes I figure less is more. There we go. And then 3 more. And then the very, very end. Okay, so we've reached the end here. So instead of going into that last top third chain, which you could do, I just figure into here, into this space, just do 2 single crochets, and there you go. Make it nice and easy. And voila! The Granny Spike Stitch Shawl. Absolutely love it. Very, very pretty, very easy, and comes together rather nicely. Alrighty, my dears, so that's going to conclude today's tutorial on the Granny Spike Stitch Shawl. Really hope that you liked it, and if you did, please give a little thumbs up button down below. You know that I appreciate your appreciation, as always. And also, in the comments section, please do let me know what it is that you think you're going to do with this particular stitch. What sorts of colors, stash busting, colorways, yarn choices. Always curious for your input. And until next time, you know what to do, right? I want all of you to stay inspired, stay caffeinated, and stay stitching. Yes, make fabulous things. And stay safe. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you in my next video. Bye for now, everybody, and have a great day.